because my artwork is complete, and now I kind of want to start drafting how I want to code my talking poster. So of course the student is going to have to already have gone out to the web or the library or wherever to do their research on whatever topic they're doing research on. Okay, for example, George Washington Carver. I had to do some research on him, so I have a sheet of paper where I did my research. I wrote down what I want to say, because in Scratch I am going to come in here, and when I am creating that code, I'm going to record my voice speaking about George Carver. Okay, then I'm going to record myself within the Scratch program speaking about Dorothy Vaughan, the same for Mark Dean and Mae Jemison. When you log into Scratch, you will see this page here. It is the home screen of Scratch. Okay, you can go ahead and click Create to start a new project, Explore, there's ideas, and right over here where you have your profile name, if you click the drop down arrow, you can go ahead and click on My Stuff, and this will show you all of the Scratch projects you have going on. And to get started with a new Scratch project, all you have to do is click Create. Make sure you give your Scratch project a title. Okay, and here you have the Scratch editor. Okay, this whole thing right here is the Scratch editor. In the Scratch editor, you have your blocks palette here. These are all the blocks that you're going to need to code your projects. Okay, you have the stage right here, and this is where your creations come to life. This area here is your coding area. You drag blocks in and out of the coding area. If you don't want something here, just simply click on it and just drag it back into the blocks palette. Okay, and then we have our sprite list. And a sprite is just any animated object or character. Every time you open up a Scratch project, the cat is always, it's defaulted to be here. So if you're not going to use this character here, you just can go ahead and exit out. There are several. If you click on search, there's lots of sprites that you can choose from, different categories here. Click back. Okay, we have our background, and for sprites and backgrounds, you can search their gallery or upload your own. So for this code, we're just going to make it very, very simple. I'm going to need to click on my event because I want to say when the up arrow on a computer or Chromebook is clicked, what do I want it to do? What do I want to happen? So when the up arrow is pressed, I want a sound to start. I don't want a pop sound, but what I do want to do here is click the drop down arrow, and I want to record my own sound. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and I am going to record a sample. Just go ahead and click the button when you're ready to record. Let's talk about Pioneers of Science. You can also edit in here, but it's a very simple editor. You can just pretty much delete the beginning and end. If you're happy with the recording, you can click save. If you want to re-record, you can click re-record. So I'm going to go ahead and click save for this example, and I am going to change my sound name to intro. Okay, once I have named my sound, I'm going to go back to code, and now when I click on this drop down arrow, I'm going to have my intro here. Okay, so when I click the up arrow on my computer, this voice recording should start playing. Let's talk about Pioneers of Science. So I'm going to go ahead and change my intro. Instead of using an up arrow, I'm going to use the space bar. So when the space bar is hit, let's talk about Pioneers of Science. I have my little intro. So now I want to repeat this process. I'm going to go ahead and click Events. I'm going to use that same block, but I'm going to say when the up arrow is pressed, I'm going to use a different recording. So I'm going to go ahead and click record. Let's talk about George Washington Carver. I can edit. Let's talk about George Washington Carver. Save. I'm going to give it a name. Go to code. And now when I select that drop-down arrow, I can click George. Okay, so far I have my intro, I have my recording about George. I'm going to go ahead and just repeat the process. Except when the down arrow is clicked, I want to record my intro for Dorothy. Let's talk about Dorothy Vaughan. Okay, so I have my intro. When that spacebar is clicked, my intro will play. When the up arrow is clicked, my recording about George will play. When the down arrow is clicked, recording about Dorothy will play. Left arrow is clicked, Mark will play. And then when right arrow is clicked, my recording about May will play. Try the space. Let's talk about pioneers of science. Up arrow. Let's talk about George Washington Carver. Down arrow. Let's talk about Dorothy Vaughan. Left arrow. Let's talk about Mark Dean. Let's talk about Mae Jemison. So we have our code, and now we need to connect our Makey and put the copper tape down and use the alligator clips and put this all together. So you may want to include some directions for the viewer. So if I am a teacher or another student or the community, it's parents' night or something, they need to know what to do in order to interact with this poster, right? So I went ahead and just gave some directions on each of these images. So if you press the up arrow, okay, on the Chromebook, it's going to play a sound about George. If you press the down arrow, it's going to play a sound about Dorothy, and so on and so on. So it's always nice just to have a little bit of directions on their artwork so the viewer will know what to do.